Hello and welcome, Star People. This is APM, your intrepid star guide and cosmic detective, and this is another episode of the Outlaw Astrology Podcast. This is episode 148, and we're going to be talking about the Suit of Cups. Okay, and this is the final suit in our suit-specific deep dive. So, Cups is the suit of water, exploring emotion, relationships, dreams, and the depths of feeling from the Ace through 10. A little housekeeping before we step into this. This is part of the 4-part minor arcana exploration, and that's it for this particular part. I think I've got some other things coming after this, but that's what we'll be doing. This is the final one. Also, there is a newsletter counterpart to this, so if you'd rather read it, it's available for free on the Daily Stargazer newsletter. You can find that link in the show notes, along with our socials, which include Pinterest, YouTube, and Instagram. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and iHeartRadio. And if you could give us a review and share the podcast, preferably 5 stars, and share the podcast, it helps others find us that much more easily. And thank you very much for being here, and onward. So we're going to talk about the water element, and this is the essence of Cups. Okay, so the water's core qualities are emotion, receptivity, connection, fluidity, and the capacity to feel deeply and connect more deeply with others on an emotional level. And so water represents the realm of relationships, dreams, and the ever-changing landscape of the heart. And so we're going to connect the water to astrological signs, as we did with the other suits and the other elements. So Cancer is cardinal water, protective, nurturing. Scorpio is fixed water, transformative death. Pisces is mutable water, boundless kindness, empathy, and compassion. And so the Cups is the suit of feeling and flowing, the journey of opening the heart, navigating emotional currents, and learning what truly fulfills us. And so let's start this off with the narrative arc of the Cup suit, Ace through 10. So, Ace of Cups, like all the other suits, all aces represent all three water signs, which would be Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And here are the keywords for the Ace of Cups: pure emotional potential, overflowing love, and the gift of an open heart. Okay? Now, before I go on, because then from 2 onward to 10, we're going to be assigning planets in signs with a decan. And if you don't know what a decan is, I have started out the tarot series at the beginning explaining this stuff, so please feel free to go back and give that episode a listen. But moving forward with the Cup suit, starting from 2 on, I want to make a quick note about this, that the suit of water, much like the earth suit, is seen more idealistically. It is seen more positively. Fire suit, which is wands, and the sword suit, corresponding to air, are cautionary tales. And so earth and water are seen more idealistically. And that, for me, is a problem, because emotion is just as powerful a destructive force as the mind. The heart can be destructive too. Decisions can be made on emotion alone, without any mental component, which can lead to trouble. We have seen in the news, we have seen in films, we have seen in books and all stories, the person who follows their emotions, and it doesn't always lead to emotional satisfaction. Sometimes emotions complicate things. And so what the Thelema, the Golden Dawn people, when they were making emotions so idealistic, ignored was that emotions can complicate things and have consequences that we are not always prepared to live out. That being said, let's move on to the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups is Venus in Cancer, first decan, and that's love, partnership, mutual affection, and the joy of emotional reciprocity. Also a note, you can follow along with your own tarot deck, or if you prefer, you can Google or Bing these card titles and check out the Rider-Waite Smith, and it will give you images galore of these cards as I speak on them, so you can see the image that it refers to, okay? And so Three of Cups is Mercury in Cancer, second decan, abundance, celebration, community, and the pleasure of shared joy. And so the Cups, Four of Cups is Moon in Cancer, third decan, luxury, contemplative dissatisfaction, boredom, amidst abundance, and the need to look within. Five of Cups is Mars in Scorpio, first decan. Now, let me take a short pause here. Like all the suits, 2 through 4 will always be cardinal. 5 through 7 will always be fixed, and 8 through 10 is mutable. And so depending on the suit, that's what changes. So in water, in water we've got, as I said, Cancer, Scorpio, Pisces. This is the pattern you're meant to notice, and that's why I'm pointing it out, so you will notice it. And that's how it is all across the entire arcana. All right, so where did I leave off? Five of Cups, Mars and Scorpio, first decan, disappointment, grief over loss, and the grief process, because grief is an emotion. And we're going to experience it because the only constant in this cosmos is change. And since things change, we're going to lose things that matter to us, relationships, jobs, any number of things that matter most to us. And so the grief process is going to be something we're going to go through multiple times, hence the Five of Cups. Now, the Six of Cups is Sun in Scorpio, second decan. It's pleasure, nostalgia, innocence, and the sweetness of emotional memory. Seven of Cups is Venus in Scorpio, third decan, and it is overwhelming options and the danger of fantasy overtaking reality. Eight of Cups is Saturn in Pisces, first decan. It's walking away from emotional investment and the courage to leave what no longer nourishes or satisfies. Nine of Cups is Jupiter in Pisces, second decan. It's happiness/joy, wish fulfillment, emotional satisfaction. And a Ten of Cups is Mars in Pisces, third decan. It's satiation, lasting emotional fulfillment, harmony, completion, and the blessing of true belonging. And so this suit, like the other suits, has an overarching story. And we go from a pure emotion through to partnership, to celebration, to restlessness, to loss, to grief, to disappointment, to nostalgia, to confusion, to necessary departure, to fulfillment and ultimate emotional completion. And it teaches us that there is a full spectrum of emotion to living life, that anger is not less of an emotion than joy. Both are feedback. Both are information. They're meant to teach us how best to respond to life as it happens in real time. Now, let's talk about practicing with the cups. How do we read questions of heart? And so the cups usually speak to questions of relationships, emotions. It speaks to dreams, like I said, and also matters of the heart. And so those are the questions you're likely to get. So here's a potential question. What if someone were to ask, will this relationship work? Whether it's a marriage or long-term, let's say it's a long-term, a person looking for a long-term relationship with a relationship that has just started. So it's a few months in, let's say maybe 4 or 5 months in, and person turns up confused. They like this new person they've met, but they're not sure. There's some orange flags, maybe some yellow flags, and a few green flags in there, and they're not certain how to proceed. And so they come to you, they're intrepid star guide and tarot reader, and they ask the question, will this relationship work? And you draw the Eight of Cups. Well, the Eight of Cups is Saturn in Pisces, first decan, and the words are walking away from emotional investment, the courage to leave what no longer nourishes or fulfills or satisfies. Okay? And so that can be interpreted as, in the short run, it could work. However, in the near future, you might need to walk away, and it's necessary to trust one's gut or one's emotions or one's feeling on when it's right to do so. So if emotional fulfillment, satisfaction is absent, when it becomes absent, or when you notice it's not there at the strength that would feel safe and comfortable and say, this is something I want to invest in, it might be wiser to divest. So I would not see this as something I can say yes or no to. I would be a nuanced answer in that for the time being, you can enjoy it, but in the long run, you're probably going to need to divest yourself of this relationship, meaning walk away, and once you get the signal that you're no longer emotionally satisfied or emotionally able to commit. Okay, so that's one way of doing it. Let's do another example. Let me see what cards speak to me. So let's say, let's say that same thing happened, same question, but we've got the Seven of Cups, which is Venus and Scorpio, third decan, and its overwhelming options and the danger of fantasy overtaking reality. So the answer would be, will the relationship work? Okay, so one of the challenges of this relationship with that card in play is how much of this attraction and this relationship, how much is based on who this person really is and who you really are, based on, or is it more based on fantasy, based on the potential of who they might be, who we hope they might be, what we might want to get out of that, out of the relationship. So will this relationship work? And we've got the Seven of Cups. That is ambiguous. I would say that it could work so long as we're very much aware of the danger of idealizing the relationship and idealizing the other person, creating a story in our heads based on our emotions that say this is going to work because we're twin flames or something like that. And that's basically allowing our emotions to tell us what we want to hear, what we want to believe over what reality might be, meaning that this person and our hypothetical client may not actually be in sync. And so the warning is, before you invest as much as you want to invest in this relationship, be aware. Are you coming from a place of clarity, meaning you see them clearly, they see you clearly, or is this based on a gloriously beautiful love story that exists in one or both people's heads? So will it work? As long as you're willing to face reality rather than allow yourself to be overtaken by what you want to be true rather than what is. So take that how you want to take that. It would be my how to see that. It's not a yes, it's not a no, but it's leaning more toward no for where I stand. Now, consider this. The tarot is not a yes or a no system. It doesn't read like that. It's not meant to be like that. It is meant to point a finger in a direction. It's saying, check your emotions first. What are they telling you? And are they telling you that, no, this is fine. We can ignore that red flag. We can ignore those orange flags. We can ignore those yellow flags in favor of these two green flags because I really like this person and I'm kind of, lonely and I want a date. And so I'm just going to just take what I can get. And so I'm going to tell myself a nice story about how this person and I are meant to be when we don't seem to connect in deep ways that are value-based for me, and also because they keep cutting me off every time I talk. And I can't get a word in, so how are they getting to know me? Okay, so that would be the scenario. And now we have cups there. So are your feelings running away from you? We could also read the Seven of Cups that way. Now, that's Venus and Scorpio, and that's depth. Venus is not about being pleasing. I mean, yes and no. It's more complicated than that. If we're looking at Venus and Scorpio third decan, let me make certain I've said that right, because I have said it right. If we're looking at that, Venus is discriminating. I don't like this. I don't want that. People misconstrue it and say, oh, it's people-pleasing and only about harmony and only about attraction. Yes, but Venus is interested in what it's attracted to. It's not attracted to everyone. It's attracted to specific things, and it's pleasing to those things. To things it's not trying to attract or not interested in, it's a lot less pleasing. And so that's another element of the Seven of Cups one can add, is it's a this, not that type of thing. And with Scorpio, we want deep emotion, deep connection. And can this person, in this hypothetical situation, deliver on that? And Seven of Cups is leaning toward the I'm not so sure. It doesn't provide clarity in the way we hope. It makes us ask more questions. Okay. And so we want to, when we're talking about divining, using these sorry, my tongue is just tripping today. When we're talking about using the suit of cups, trusting our intuition is a wise choice. We just have to make certain we're tempering it with good, solid information. And so we want to encourage reflection. So which cup card reflects our current emotional landscape? Are we opening, celebrating, grieving, or seeking through fulfillment? Okay, so one last thing I want to do is talk about discussing timing with the cups with this reflection. So let's say we want to answer this question. Are we opening? Are we celebrating? Are we grieving? Are we seeking fulfillment? And let's try the Three of Cups. And if I haven't said, cups can correlate to summer, okay? In some traditions. I like to use fire for that, and I know that it can get very confusing when it comes to traditions. So here's the tradition that I know. Fire spring, water summer, air autumn, earth winter. I've also seen earth as spring as well. So like I said, it gets very confusing. But the one I'm telling you about is water for summer. And so whenever summer's around, you can work with the Suit of Swords. Or for example, let's say, like I said, we have the Three of Cups. Did I say swords? I meant cups. Three of Cups. And that's Mercury in Cancer. Now, Mercury in Cancer energy it means there's an added component. Mercury doesn't tend to like water signs as a rule, and so we're going to have some challenges here. This is a celebratory card. It usually features three figures on it with their chalices raised in a deep celebration. So you're in a community. There's pleasure. There's shared joy. It's very 11th house here, okay? Second decan would be 10 through 19. So Mercury in Cancer, that is thought that is powered by emotion, meaning that this person reasons with their feelings. They reason with, and what they value, is their home, belonging, emotional safety, that sort of thing. So Three of Cups is finding emotional safety. It's abundance and celebration because you found community, you found emotional safety, you found people you can let your hair down round, wear your torn the jeans with the tears in the knees and the rip in the back skyrocket there. And so when we're looking at timing with the cups, Three of Cups, we could also be looking at Mercury in Cancer, which would be happening in Cancer season. So the Sun is in Cancer and Mercury is alongside for the ride. And that means this is a time we can look into our emotions. We can start looking into our relationships. What do we think? What's feeling? Are we satiated? Are we nurtured? Do we feel safe? How is our nervous system? How does our body feel? Etc. And like I said, the summer is a good time. But let's say it is, at the time of this recording, it is January and it is Capricorn season. And then let's say that we're in a full moon and it's in Cancer, because that's how full moons work. It's always going to be in a sign opposite the sun. And I've pulled the Three of Cups. Well, Three of Cups, what would I be focusing on with that? Well, we're looking for community. We're looking for shared joy. We're looking for people in these times which are highly trying and highly require deep, deep breathing constantly. People to connect with, people in our community we can go out to have drinks with, eat with, share our griefs with, share our joys with, people who get us that we feel safe with, and our nervous system doesn't have to overtax itself working extra hard. And the Three of Cups is Mercury in Cancer. That'd be a second decan, so it could be, mid-Cancer season. And Mercury is saying, hey, what conversations do you want to have? This is confidence. This isn't, what do we want to talk about? What do you want to share? Who do you want to be your confidant? Who do you feel emotionally safe with to have conversations, deep, emotionally fulfilling conversations? Who are those friends in your life? And Cancer season is the absolute time to question where home and belonging are in your life. And as I said, that'd be one way to look at the timing, and it's also one way to encourage reflection. You can then say, okay, if we're looking at that card, we're in the celebrating phase. So what relationships do you want to celebrate? What relationships feel like home and belonging? And by the way, belonging is not the same as fitting in. That is a keyword that we should discuss right here because it just came to me, so let's do so. Fitting in is where you cut off all that makes you you, all your sharp edges, all the non-nice parts of you that don't play nice socially, the wild parts of you, the repressed, the exiled, the angry, the sad, the disappointed parts that don't get a chance to have their say or their day or or get room in the fire of the sun. Belonging is when all of your parts, even the ones you don't feel comfortable with, even the ones that are rejected, exiled, suppressed, etc., have room in the fire of the sun. Their voices are valued and heard because those are needs that need to be met emotionally, and the Suit of Cups is very useful in helping people access emotions. So when we're talking about how to use the astrology, what conversations, what people do you want to celebrate? Who do you want to hype? Because Mercury in Cancer is the card that corresponds to that experience, and we're talking about Sun in Cancer. This is the time to spend time with your people, the people to make you feel safe, the people to make you, because home, we're talking about safety. Where do you feel safe? Emotionally. Who do you talk to? Who do you want to confide in? Who do you want to have these deep emotional connections with? Who confides in you? Whom do you confide in? Who is home? Who do you belong to, and who belongs to you? Those are Cancer season questions. That would be the time to ask those questions, because that's what Cancer season's for. It's about emotional intelligence, but it's also learning, moving toward emotional autonomy. Okay? So, the reflection would be, which cup card reflects your current emotional landscape? Meaning, at the time you listen to this podcast, where are you? Are you opening? Are you celebrating? Are you grieving? Are you seeking? Are you finding fulfillment? Or are you walking away from an emotional investment to see what else is out there? Have you reached home? Have you reached belonging? Metaphorically speaking. Okay? And so this is a good place to stop. Take a deep breath. Emotions are big. They are powerful. And they are important. They are feedback. They are meant to be listened to. They are information. They're not meant to be ignored. So if you're feeling jealous and envy have their place, for example. They are meant to inform you that there is something out there that you desire, and there's a part of you saying, I want that, and it's best to have a dialogue with those emotions. Okay? And so we're going to do the key takeaway right now. And so cups teach us that the heart's journey includes both joy and sorrow. Emotional wisdom comes from honoring all of the feelings, all of the emotions. By the way, emotions and feelings are not the same thing. Emotions are generated by your nervous system. Feelings are the stories that we tell ourselves, includes the stories that we tell ourselves, and the feelings, meaning the emotions generated from that. So that's a feeling. It's very subtle, nuancy. So, honoring all feelings and emotions whilst knowing when to flow and when to let go. So, here's what I suggest. Draw a cup card and spend time with a suit of water. And also, real water. So, take a shower, take a bath, sit by a river, the ocean. Drink mindfully. Drink water mindfully. And notice how emotions move through you like currents. Meaning that if you're feeling sad, angry, you don't repress it, you just breathe through it. Notice that it's there. Notice where in your body that you feel it. And now that you've named it, you are teaching your nervous system something called granularity. Being able to name the feeling and to name it more specifically, because when you do that, there's a more light emotion that comes along with that, and your nervous system gets trained to understand that having emotions isn't threatening. You are not dying, and you're not currently going to die. You're merely having an emotional experience. That's all. Okay? And so, the next episode, we're going to step into the pages, and this explores the youthful potential. I believe that's the next episode. So we're talking about the curious energy of the suit. That might be the next episode. I believe it is, but we'll see. Because right now, my brain is everywhere. We're having an emotional moment, star people. So anyway, thank you very much for listening. And one last thought to keep in mind. Emotions are the language of your nervous system. It is trying to speak. The question is, are you listening? The suit of cups / water can help. So, thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground and your eyes to the stars. Thank you very much. Peace and astro magic, star people.